Hi, this is Terry Kirkovich, host of the Autism Quality of Life podcast. This evening, I have with me Cecilia Coble, a member of the Fishers City Council in Fishers, Indiana. As the chair of the Fishers Disability Roundtable, Cecilia has taken on the exciting role of spreading awareness about disabilities through the month of March. So we'd like to share some more about the very special events that have been planned. But before we dive right into talking about Disability Awareness Month, let me tell you a bit more about Cecilia. So she is married to Mike and has two children, Alexa and Krista has an autism diagnosis and cognitive disabilities. Cecilia also earned her Doctor of Jurisprudence from Indiana University Robert H. McKinney School of Law and attended University of Arizona for her undergraduate education. So Cecilia's been really active in helping families through her work with the Talk About Curing Autism, TACA, Indiana chapter. So, hi, Cecilia.
Hi, Terry. Thank you for having me this evening.
Thanks so much for joining me. I'm really excited to hear more about the Disability Month that you have been planning. So if you wouldn't mind, please fill in some gaps from that introduction and tell us some more about you and your connection to autism and disabilities.
Sure. Well, my daughter Krista was diagnosed at 5 years of age. At that time, she was in diapers, nonverbal, and we worked really hard to improve her quality of life. She's now 14 and improving, and she's still challenged with her cognitive delays and with the autism, but she is doing very well with her special education that she's receiving here locally, and then also she attends a local autism center, BACA, Behavioral Analysis Center for Autism. And through this journey of autism, I decided once I became elected to the Fishers City Council that I would strive to improve the quality of life of people with disabilities. It so happened that during my election season, when I was running for city council, my mother-in-law unfortunately suffered a major stroke, and now she's in a wheelchair. And so it's really affected our family in many ways, not just with the autism and the cognitive disabilities, but also physical disabilities. So I've been really fortunate that I have a wonderful mayor and city staff, and they are really supporting this effort. And so Fishers has had a disability roundtable, and through that committee, we were mostly looking at accessibility and right-of-way and curb cuts. And last year, we pledged to move on beyond that and to look at actually what we could do to make things better in Fishers for people with disabilities. In Fishers in particular, we have a high number of families who have autism who are living in Fishers because of the proximity of the autism centers in the county and particularly in Fishers. We also have some wonderful special education departments within the public school system. So we have a high percentage of families that come here for services for their children. In addition, in Fishers, we also have a high percentage of families who are deaf and hard of hearing because we also have the Indiana School for the Deaf that is nearby as well. And so in looking at the demographics here locally, we have a lot of people with autism, cognitive disabilities, and who are deaf and hard of hearing. And also with regard to disabilities, as we start to age, we have a high percentage of people that are coming to live nearby grandchildren. And so we have now empty nesters that might be having to care for their aging parents. And so this is near and dear to my heart. And so this year we formed a committee, the March Disability Awareness Committee, and we put on a month-long campaign for March Disability Awareness Month to provide some education and awareness of disabilities and to highlight that we need to look at people with disabilities as people first. And that is the theme of this year's March Disability Awareness Campaign here in Fishers. It's Life Without Limits, People First. And the first day of our kickoff, we had a proclamation that was read by our Mayor Scott Fadness, and we had a wonderful presentation done by the Joseph Malley Foundation. And they spoke about the power of words and how you need to look at people with disabilities as people first and the disability second. So it really provided some awareness to the public about how do you address someone with a disability? What kinds of questions should you ask? What's the terminology? So much has changed throughout the years that terms that we used to hear maybe growing up, they're not said anymore. So that's really important. So we kicked that off. Friday, we had an arts reception in City Hall where we featured artwork done by people with autism and artists who have disabilities. We also had performances by a group called Vibrations. They are a dance troupe and they all happen to be deaf. And it's just amazing. They actually dance through the vibrations that they feel of the music on their feet. And so they provided us with a little glimpse of how they do that. It was really, really neat. And we also had the Fishers Community Chorus sing some really inspirational songs. Some of the members of the chorus have disabilities as well, and they live in the Fishers community. But we are really, really excited. We are going to be dedicating a wheelchair glider this week on Friday, March 11th. Or 10th, actually. And it's the first here in Fishers. It's at Holland Park in Fishers, Indiana. And so we're really excited. It's a collaboration with the Kiwanis and with one of the local hospitals nearby and our Parks and Recreation Department. But this was something that early on when I became a member of the City Council, parents were coming to me saying, our parks may be accessible, but those that that are in wheelchairs, what are they able to do once they get there? And so this is an equipment that they can actually use, and it serves all ages of individuals, so they can actually do something together with their loved ones who may not have physical challenges. So I'm really excited. The other thing we're doing, I don't know if you've ever heard of a comedian, Scott Long. He's a national comedian. He does a lot of stand-up nationwide, and he writes for various programs, national programs, sitcoms and the like, and radio shows. But he's doing a stand-up comedy Friday, March 10th at Pinheads in Fishers. And the money, all the proceeds for that night is going to the Hamilton County Special Olympics. So that's really neat. And Scott, he lives in Fishers and he has a daughter with autism. So part of his comedy show is highlighting some of the funny things that might happen in his family with having a child with autism. So one of the most important things actually that we're doing that I wanted to highlight is we are going to have a lunch and learn where we are going to bring in businesses from around the Fishers community to gather and come and hear a keynote speaker, Scotty Wise of Scotty's Brew House, Scott Wise. He has won national awards for employing people with disabilities. And he has a number of different restaurants here locally, and the restaurants are also expanding to other states. But he is employing people with disabilities, and he's got a very inspirational story to tell. And he's going to try to encourage other businesses to utilize his story as an inspiration, and he's going to show people how this is done and how can it be successful, because it's been very, very successful. And that is my goal, is that I want to be able to connect the business community with the school system now early on. I worry about some students like my daughter, Krista, who's 14, and these next few years are going to go very, very fast, and I worry about employment for her or meaningful work. And I'm hoping that if we can get early on connected with the local businesses, we can start working on job shadowing, skill building, so that hopefully students like my daughter will have like maybe 2 or 3 jobs that they might be able to start doing as soon as they age out of the school system. And I think it's really important. What I found is that there's a disconnect between the businesses and the schools and also organizations that help to employ people with autism and with disabilities. So we're trying to connect everybody so that we start talking and we start filling in those employment gaps. One of the highlights also of the month of March here in Fishers is we're going to have a day called My Point of View. And My Point of View is where we're going to get Fishers residents who have disabilities partnered with city and business leaders and community leaders to start working on 5 key areas such as housing, employment, infrastructure, enforcement, employment. And so we're going to start connecting. And what's going to happen is the people with disabilities are going to be able to share their life from their point of view. They're going to talk about their struggles, their day-to-day, and ideas that might come out that we could start working on through the Disability Roundtable. And so these are going to hopefully bring some really good discussions and some goals for working on things for 2017.
That is so exciting.
Yeah.
So as we're chatting right now, it is Sunday, March 5th. So we are at the very beginning of the month of March here. So there's a lot of exciting things ahead coming up in the town of Fishers in the month of March.
Yeah. If you would like to get some more detailed information, the website that I would tell you to go to is www.fishers.in.us/disability awareness. And I'm just very, very proud. I want to thank everyone that was on my committee, my co-chair, Stacy Oldham. She's been very integral in helping me put this together because there are a lot of moving parts for this, but I'm very proud of the city of Fishers because I believe we are the first municipality in Hamilton County and maybe even in the state to put something of this nature together. So I'm really, really proud of our efforts. I mean, we need to start looking at the future, and I encourage families, people in other cities, other states to look at their local governments and see what they're doing at the local level. Talk to your mayor, talk to your city council member, and see if there's some type of roundtable, some type of advisory committee that you could start forming to help guide the local government in initiatives to help people with disabilities. I think it's really important. We really need, as a community, as a disability community, as parents of children with autism, we really need to get more engaged. And I know sometimes it's very hard to do that, but really it's a collaborative effort. And if we start looking at other like-minded people and start working with other families, other individuals with disabilities, I think we can do a lot more together.
Awesome. Okay, well, Cecilia, thank you so much for sharing about Disability Awareness Month in Fishers. And it sounds like a tremendous undertaking that is off to a really great start. And I hope that folks from the Fishers area, Indiana, as well as the Autism Quality of Life community really takes this opportunity to check out your website. And that will be in the show notes of this episode, so people can refer back to that. And just to take a look at the exciting events that are coming up and to learn more about Fishers and your initiatives to really incorporate the agendas of individuals with disabilities into the community to bridge some of these gaps and form collaborations between schools and businesses and really set an example for so many other communities.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Terry. Actually, one more thing I kind of wanted to include. There's so much, but March 17th, that's St. Patrick's Day, we're going to have another event called Adapt and Thrive, and that's going to be at the Fishers High School. And what that is, it's going to be an exhibition of athletes who have disabilities. So we're going to have power soccer, Special Olympics basketball, cheerleading, gymnastics, and dance. And they're going to showcase their abilities there. And so parents can come, they can learn more about how they can maybe enroll their child in some of these organizations. They're great organizations that empower these kids and get them active and engaged, being social. We're also going to feature 2 Paralympic soccer team members who have some inspirational stories to share with you. They're coming and flying in from around the country to talk, and we're going to have some celebrity referees.
Wow.
And so we're really encouraging the disability community from around the area to come that night and celebrate the athleticism of people with disabilities. So that was one more thing, and I think that covers everything. So I really want to thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today and to get the word out and to hopefully inspire other people to get involved in their local government and their local community and start talking to officials, their mayors, to really start changing things, changing the perspective and helping people with disabilities, including autism. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Cecilia. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Good night.